Pyro Archon is a wayward, warmongering wretch, and the Geo Archon is a brutish, blundering buffoon. How do I know? Because this is written in the epic poems of days gone by.
Ask anyone that deals with the occult and they will tell you an important detail. Names are some of the most symbolic items you can use when summoning. Names are tied to something so metaphysical that when you share it with someone or something, it can either be lost or used against you. Quite like contracts or signatures. A name has its burdens, which is why today we are tackling all the names of the demon gods in Genshin Impact currently known to us. Disclaimer, I will not be tackling any names that are not found in the canon of the story. This includes leaks and data mines. So with that, let's begin. The term demon gods in Genshin Impact was a term used to describe the Archon War. In other languages, that telling tale from 2,000 years ago is also known as the War of the Demon Gods, and rightfully so. In the grander hierarchy of Celestia's gods, the War of the Demon Gods was essentially a battle for dominion. The 7 that reign superior to defend their lands win the 7 divine seats of power. This means that all Archons were at one point under the classification of demon gods, but not all demon gods are Archons. But its correlations run far, far deeper. The demon gods may be a term to refer to the main celestial powers and entities that fought in the Archon War, distinguishing them from other gods by having celestial origin. My personal theory is that the demon gods are the gods that answer directly to Celestia. Gods from a mortal perspective can include a lot of characters, like how Adepti are considered gods in Liyue. But unlike something like the Adepti, the Yokai, the Valen, or Ajdaha, the celestial gods are very distinguished. We know this because of their name. Genshin's demon gods are some of Tevat's most curious characters. Their names are based off of the Ars Goetia, or the Lesser Key of Solomon, or the Lemegatan Clavicula Salomonis. Basically, it's a book of demons. So today, I'm going to be connecting the Genshin character with their demon counterpart. Well, whatever you call the 72 demons from the Ars Goetia. Let's first take a look on the demon gods' names that are directly correlated. First up is the Anemo Archon Barbatos, the god of freedom. Barbatos is an Earl and Duke of Hell, ruling 30 legions of demons and has 4 kings as his companions to command his legions. He gives the understanding of the voices of the animals, says past and future, conciliates friends and rulers, and he can lead men to hidden treasures that are hidden by the enchantment of magicians. Barbatos as a connection to Venti is actually more striking than I first thought. The 4 kings as companions can be a good allegory to the 4 winds: Dvalin, Andreas, Vanessa, and the Lion of the South. Barbatos, much like Venti, can also lead people to hidden treasures and to past and future endeavors. Venti's role is very much like a consolidator. Venti also connects people together in ways that are strange, like with Vanessa and the ruler of Old Mondstadt, Kazuha and Kunikuzushi, and even La Senora in himself. It's that unprecedented role of Venti as an outside observer that really parallels well with Barbatos. What I find really neat though is that his seal is known as the Seal of Obedience, which might be a little disconnected with Venti's ideal of freedom. Moving on, we have the Geo Archon Morax, the god of contracts. Morax is a great Earl and President of Hell, having 36 legions of demons under his command. He teaches astronomy and all other liberal sciences, and gives good and wise familiars that know the virtues of all herbs and precious stones. Morax is depicted as a big bull with the face of a man. The best correlation that Morax has with Zhongli is his knowledge of herbs and precious stones, quite fitting for a Lord of the Geo who also has an affinity with herbal medicines according to his voice lines. Next are the Raiden twins, Raiden A and Raiden Makoto, the god of eternity and allegedly transience. Raiden Makoto being the god of transience is unconfirmed though. Makoto was the first official Archon of Inazuma who technically won the Archon War after her sister allegedly sacrificed her essence for her victory. However, through mysterious arts, Makoto was able to bring A back and designated A as her Kagemusha. Now, Baal and Beelzebul are probably the most popular on this list. Baal was the first king of hell with estates in the east. He has 3 heads, a toad, a man, and a cat. He also speaks in a raucous but well-formed voice and commands 66 legions. Baal teaches the art of invisibility and may be the equivalent of Baal or Beelzebul, one of the 7 princes of hell. Now the thing is, the name Baal has so many connotations with historical deities that I wonder if Makoto and A also got inspiration from other places than the Ars Goetia. Baal was also worshipped in ancient Middle Eastern communities who considered him a deity of fertility. Just like A and Makoto, Baal is also known as the Lord of Rain and Dew, and he was also given the storm god epithet. Actually, quite fascinating that the Elector family all shared the same naming conventions, with Baal, Beelzebul, and the Balladeer. Next is Naberius. This name was actually dropped in Albedo's lore without a proper appearance or even explanation, from Albedo's Story 4. Albedo once led a simple and content existence. There was no need for him to contemplate anything. Life was uneventful. Its meaning consisted of nothing more than accompanying his teacher, doing what she asked of him, and meeting her expectations. But one day, deep in the heart of a dungeon, master and apprentice discovered an artifact known as the Heart of Naberius. And with that, his master disappeared, leaving naught but a note, a recommendation letter, and a classical text behind. The Heart of Naberius was never mentioned again in Genshin Impact, but Naberius the demon is the most valiant Marquis of Hell. He makes men cunning in all arts and sciences, but especially in the art of rhetoric. He also restores lost dignities and honors, an interesting artifact for someone like Rhine-daughter, or more importantly, Gold, to suddenly grow interest in. Perhaps she's trying to recover something she lost in the Cataclysm. Perhaps her honor and dignity as a Conorian citizen. Who knows, really? Oh, and this thing has ties to Cerberus, so that's pretty cool. The Caribbean is the god that is known as the god of storms and the lord of the tower. He was the founder of the nation of Mondstadt and was really protective of his capital city located in what is now known as Storm Terror's lair. He was a god that lived 2,600 years ago and was the god that the nameless bard and the people of Mondstadt rebelled against. He genuinely thought that his reign was methodical and a good one, but he didn't realize he basically ran a dictatorship. This prompted the people of Mondstadt to fight against him in the name of freedom, and through his takedown, Barbados became the god of Mondstadt. His Ars-Goetia counterpart is the Caribia, a king and earl of hell. The Caribia knows the virtues of all herbs and precious stones, and can change into all birds and sing and fly like them before the conjurer. Of course, we know absolutely nothing much about the Caribbean himself, so to make actual correlations might be a little too difficult. Paimon, self-proclaimed god of protection. Paimon, out of all the people here, has the clearest connection with her Ars-Goetia counterpart. I would even argue that Paimon's abilities are patterned directly from her Ars-Goetia counterpart. From her sudden disappearance into other dimensions, to her ability to summon, to her ability to fly, to her role as a companion, and most especially, her voice. The King of Hell Paimon is known as the king most loyal to Lucifer. He appears with the crown sitting atop his most glorious head and roars upon his first coming. The spirit can teach all arts and sciences and other secret things, like what can be discovered in the earth, what is under the waters, and what the mind is. He gives dignity and confirms the same, and he gives good familiars. He also conjures men and items, binding them to the conjurer's will. Our Paimon's true abilities are not yet known, but I think we can all agree that she is definitely hiding something more sinister up her sleeve. Most likely unintentionally and out of her own control. Next is Marchosius or Guoba. Marchosius is the god of the stove and the god of the soil, who were among the gods of the Guili assembly. He was amongst the gods that helped Liyue's survival and establish the harbor. However, after many disasters and the spreading of calamities in the land, Marchosius used his power to revitalize Liyue's soil. The consequence was that he was greatly reduced in physical size and intelligence. Marchosius, on the other hand, is depicted as a wolf with griffin's wings. Definitely a far cry from Guoba, who looks like a bear. Marchosius is a strong fighter and is very faithful to the magician that summoned him, much like Guoba is to Xiangling. Oh, and he can breathe fire. You know, the classic. Now we move on to the gods that don't really share the same spelling as their Ars-Goetia counterparts, and at this point, it's anyone's game. The past names just had a letter or two revoked or changes to fit the character better, but this time, it's less concrete what their Ars-Goetia names are, if they have any at all. But the safest bet is that if anyone participated in the Archon War and has a concrete title of god of something, they might have an Ars-Goetia name. Guizhong, the god of dust. If Guoba has an Ars-Goetia counterpart and he's part of the Guili assembly, I don't doubt Guizhong has one too. Guizhong is the intelligence behind the Guili assembly's past and was known for her machinations like the Guizhong Ballista. She died in the Archon War a long time ago. The name Guizhong has a lot of correlations to the demon god Gusion. He is the 11th spirit and is a strong Duke of Hell. He tells the past, present, and the future, and shows the meaning and resolution to all questions one may ask. He also reconciles friendships and gives honor and dignity onto anyone that summons him. Definitely someone that mirrors well with the Guili Assembly's strategists. Havria is the god of salt who lived in the region of Liyue during the Archon War. However, she herself was known for her gentle nature, a personality unfit for a war. Due to her relative weakness, she was killed not by the jurisdiction of other gods, but of her own people. Her Ars Goetia counterpart may be Havres, Haures, Hauras, Flavros, or Flauros, all of which are name altercations of the same demon. The thing is, there's hardly any relation to Havria's kind-hearted nature, or to her demise at the hands of mortals. Far from it, actually. Havres is seen as a mighty figure. He gives true answers to all things past, present, and future, but is a known liar and deceiver. If you are able to subjugate him with the magic circle, he'll answer the conjurer's wishes and tell them about the world and other creations. Even more questionable is that Havres is a demon of vengeance, perhaps a parallel to how Havria's powers also took down those that harmed her. Osael is the overlord of the Vortex, a sea monster that Zhongli sealed away during the Archon War only to be revived by Tartaglia. The thing is, Osael was never confirmed to be the god of anything. I remember once hearing that he was the god of the sea, but besides the title of the overlord of the Vortex, it's unknown if that correlation holds accurate. Regardless, Osael's name might come from the name Ose, a great president of hell. Subsequently, if his wife Beisht is to be accounted for, perhaps she too has an Ars Goetia name. My preposition is Berith, a name derived from Baal and is a great duke of hell. If you think the past names were hard to break down, this one is almost impossible to confirm. Andreas is a powerful god in Mondstadt who challenged the Arabian. While his physical body is dead, his spirit forever lingers as the Wolf of the North, protecting the people of Mondstadt. Now, because of his connections to the Arabian and his pivotal role in the Archon War as being in direct opposition, there are many possibilities to his name. The first one is Andras, another is Andrelphus or Androalphus, and another is Andromalius. There's like 3 whole names that you've got to work with. The best correlation that we have is with Andras, who is seen riding a black wolf and hoards a sharp bright sword, and much like how Andreas has the wolf's gravestone and is, in fact, a wolf. The story of Orobashi is one of the sadder ones in this video. The god of serpents. A god that didn't want to fight the Archon War in the first place and therefore fled to the Dark Sea. A god that saw the people of Enkanomiya and gave them a new light. A god that accidentally read a book about Celestia's history and was sentenced to die. A god that was forced by his hand to invade the Raiden's grounds because the people of Watatsumi were famished and starving. A god that bare no real ill will against the Raiden twins even after his defeat. A god that seemingly believed his death would allow the people of Watatsumi to grow beyond what they perceive as his teachings. As for his Ars Goetia counterpart, I open Orobas. Not only are you kinda just missing 2 letters, but Orobas is known for being a protective demon when summoned. Orobas is faithful to the conjurer and does not permit any spirit to tempt them, quite reminiscent of Orobashi's protection over Enkanomiya's people. Now, something interesting that I want to open here is that some, if not most, of these demons are actually known as orders or virtues. Fallen angels, most likely. Parallel that with other depictions of celestial creatures with wings, or with the almighty god of Celestia being known as something like a throne. So, we do see that Celestia's themes are all on theological perspectives on angels and demons, as opposed to other classifications of demon gods like the Adepti or the Yokai. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Aster and thank you for chilling with me. Amy is described as a president, appearing initially as a flame before turning to a human form. He is claimed to teach astronomy and liberal arts, give familiars, incite positive reactions from rulers, and reveal treasures. Odd coincidence, but whatever.